rev up your engines. Today I'm going to give you some tips for fixing your car, getting it to work correctly, and not doing any damage in the long run. Now I'll start with fixing electrical wiring. The wires in your car, when you strip off the plastic coating, you see they're generally copper inside. It's all copper. Now the copper conducts the electricity, and the plastic on the outside insulates it from touching anything. You don't want stray electricity coming out, so it's got to be sealed. After you cut the insulation, you can twist it together. Then you can get a soldering gun, solder the pieces together. But then you got bare metal sticking out. And then you can use stuff like heat shrink wrapping. You can slide it over, heat it up, and that'll seal it in. But sometimes if you're working in cramped quarters, let's say you've got some wiring where the insulation has come apart, the wire's still solid, you don't want to cut it and then slide that on and then solder it. You can just coat it, but you got to coat it with the right stuff. This is liquid electrical tape. I've been using this stuff for over 50 years. And the reason I'm using that, not this RTV silicone gasket maker stuff, is for one main reason. Yeah, you can get black silicone, you can gloop it on, it'll cover it up, but this stuff cures. It's got acid in it. And of course, realize what acid does. Acid will eat up some of the electronics. So never use this stuff. It's got an applicator in there. And yeah, it's goopy, messy stuff. There's no arguing that. But once you put it on and it dries, it seals great. I used this on a Mini headlight assembly. It had all these wires going in, and the Minis made them so cheap that all the insulation near the ends had worn off. Now, rather than buy an expensive Mini wiring harness or having to rewire the whole thing, it still worked. Put all the wires apart from each other, tied them with a little bit of string so they were all apart. Then I coated them with this. It sealed it, and it'll last quite some time. Of course, it's a Mini, something else is going to break on it. And it's great for stuff like, say, you're testing an electrical circuit and you poke a hole in the wiring so you can get your meter on there. When you're done, put a drop of this over the hole, it'll seal it. It's great stuff. You know, electrical tape, it's going to unravel. Over time, it's going to melt. This stuff is made for sealing electrical stuff. Now, the next tip has to do with nuts and bolts and sockets. You don't want them falling out when you're working. I do have to say it, over the years, I've lost tons of nuts and bolts, sometimes even the sockets, because they fall off. Well, always get a decent ratchet like this. It's got the release. As you can see here, there's a little ball. So when you stick it on, you can't pull it off. It won't fall off. So at least you won't lose your socket. But of course, you can still lose the nuts and bolts. Now, as nutty as it sounds, I used to use pieces of leaves. You stick the leaf on a nut and then jam it in. My little blue shop towels, they're made out of paper, they work even better. You stick it on, then you push it in, and you just rip the edge off. And truth be told, this actually works better. And since it's light paper towel, the leaves sometimes would get ripped and fall off. This is more flexible, it'll hold in, so when you're working, you don't have to worry about losing stuff. You're working down in a dark corner. The last thing you want is something falling off. A little piece of paper towel stuck in the socket before you put it on can work miracles. And if you're working on small bolts you're taking off, do the same thing. Put it on a socket before you put the socket on the bolt, so when you finally get it out, it comes out. I can think of more times that I get something off, and then when I pulled off the ratchet and socket, down went the bolt. And if it was some oddball bolt like a magnesium bolt on a BMW, those things are expensive. You can't really replace them with anything else but magnesium for the way it's designed, so you don't want to lose those parts. If you can save that with a little piece of paper towel, hey, why not? Now, the last tool tip I'm going to give you has to do with vice grip pliers. You might say, oh, what a boring subject. That's been covered before, but I kind of invented this thing. I think it's fantastic. Vice grip pliers are simple. You clamp this around whatever you want to tighten. You use this little adjuster beforehand to get it tight. Now, it's just a little round thing, and I'm not Superman, so once it's on, I can't really turn this thing that well. And conversely, if you want to make it tighter before you put it on, I'm often not strong enough to close it anymore. But here is a trick. Years ago, I bought this slide hammer kit, and inside it was an adapter. What you do is, you get your vice grip pliers and you just unscrew. Vice grips have a hole. Guess what? The adapter goes right in there, and takes the place of the old adjuster. So then you can get the whole thing, and you can put it on here just snug, and then get a wrench, put it on the end, and voila! You can get it as tight as you want. I'm illustrating this on a strut because sometimes the nuts get stuck and they won't come off. Well, they just keep spinning if you do that. But now this is tight, you can get the nut off. I just decided to take that adapter out of that kit, screw it in the end, and now, guess what? These vice grip pliers, it lives on them. I replaced the other one with it. If I don't have to squeeze as hard as I can and wear out my old hands, just put it on snug and then tighten it with a wrench. That's fine by me. And since this is Mechanic Monday, I'll be giving away a case of this liquid electrical tape. If you have a chance to win, place a clean, non-offensive comment on the YouTube comments below, and a winner will be chosen randomly by computer to get a case of electrical liquid tape so you can fix things right and not corrode it later from acid being into some other kind of sealer that you put on. So if you never want to miss another one of my new car repair videos, remember to ring that bell.